Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Hey Atlanta, say hello to Small Business Help from Apple. That's right, we're here to make starting and running your business simpler. From helping you choose the right devices to setting them up hassle-free, we can help you build your business in no time. Speak to a business expert and get the help you need at no cost whatsoever. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/smallbusiness or visit an Apple store to learn more.
It's the way that the iPod is so much more than just something in his hand. It's something where we are there and we're getting to experience that, in a sense, with the character baby, that just like elevates it for me and just creates this feeling where I feel like I am a lot more locked into the story, because I am following beat by beat the tune to the pacing of the shots and the just what's going on in that world. So my biggest issue with the film is the actual story.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Today I'm joined by Helen.
Hello.
Lissi.
Hi.
Karen.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about Baby Driver.
Thank you, as always, to the mighty people for the mighty, mighty tunes. And thanks to Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills.
Please do remember to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts and anywhere you can do where you listen to the podcast, because it really does help us.
And you can join in the conversation with us on Twitter
at FlixWatcherPod and on Instagram
at FlixWatcher.
Hello, film fans. Welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher podcast. Joining us remotely today, we have Lissi and Karen. If you could please say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Hey, well, I'm Karen Gabay. I am a radio presenter and producer. I also am a TV producer, work in TV land, work on music and popular culture documentaries in the main. And I'm a filmmaker as well, specialising in archive documentaries and capturing Caribbean heritage here in the UK.
And mainly in Manchester.
Mainly in Manchester, yeah. Mancunia.
Yes, how the documentaries going? And we'll get on to Lissi's filmmaking as well in a second.
Yeah, documentaries are going well. I have a couple of documentaries due on BBC television this summer. Music documentaries, one coming out about Motown in relation to the history of Motown in the UK. And then my own films were always very popular, you know, about 3 of them that are made that were meant to only be shown 3 or 4 times. You know, years on, I'm still being requested to show those films because, you know, people have got a real nostalgic trip about Manchester. But I've got a couple that are still in the works. And yeah, it's one of those where you just have to get down to it and have the money together to pay for archive, because archive is very costly.
I imagine it's quite difficult to actually dig into it as well and crate dig into the content that you're trying to find.
The crate digging works. It takes time, you know, but often sometimes as well, people, they hold on to their memories and they wonder what you're going to do with the images or whatever you have. But it's always interesting. As soon as you do that, or they see something you've done before, then, you know, it's like Pandora's box is opened, and sometimes it can be too late. They'll give you everything. They'll say, I've been holding on to this for years. You know, you need to give it to me when I ask for it. But I understand that people this can be trauma attached to memories. Yeah. There can be, you know, sometimes you bury things deep. You forget about things as well, don't you? We're busy. We forget about things. The pandemic's changed things a lot. A lot of people have reflected more and looked through the memorabilia more. So I think that's going to change in terms of people releasing their footage and their images to you. People understand now that memories are important to keep going.
Okay, we'll head over to Lissi. Who are you?
Well, I'm Lissi. Who are you? I'm Lissi Simpson. I do a little bit of everything. So like in the last year, I've like filmed things like with the camera or taken audio, or I've worked in development and TV, and I'm about to be an assistant script editor on a CBeebies show called Jojo and Gran Gran.
Oh, wow.
Which is really exciting. Yeah, I know, it's really exciting. I'm a little bit of a fan as well, so I'm like, psyching myself up for doing that, which should be really good.
What age range is Jojo and Gran Gran for?
It's for preschoolers, so the little babas.
But I think adults can watch it because it's about 3 generations of a Caribbean family. So I've encouraged adults to watch it, and it's a nice little time out.
I think it's the first British animated show that has a black family as the leading family, which is like crazy because you think it's 2022 and it's only been going for a couple of years, but it's like, feels good at the same time to like say that has actually happened now, and happened for the age range of, like real like babies, like 3-year-olds. And like another thing that's really good about the show, I'm now just talking about the show and rather than my own self, but another thing that's good about the show is that it is delivered in a way where it's not just for like black kids, but they also have like kids, like they have live action segments where it's kids of every single color just doing something and getting to like experience something, and then it becomes like this massive community feel to it, which I really love. But anyways, that's what I'm about to be doing. I also I write, but more for catharsis, so I do like short films.
Nice.
Great.
Well, you're the one that chose Baby Driver. Can you tell us why you chose it first of all, Lissi, and then I'll get the timer up, and you can give us a short synopsis.
So the reason why I chose Baby Driver is because I saw it in the cinema and I had to be forced to see it because I don't like car films. And my dad said to me, it's about this guy who's in a car and he drives fast. And I was like, this sounds horrible and rubbish. And then I went and saw it, and it kind of blew me away just from a technical point of view. I saw it before I wanted to work in TV, so I still didn't see it as like a world that I could be in, which I think helped a little bit in terms of like, I can't believe that there are people that are so good at what they do and have and are able to create like such like art, just the meticulous detail that went into like planning each scene, and like the music, and like how like you can basically remold the way that film is presented, and not just have something like sound as like an additional piece to the film, whereas it's like actually an integral part of the film. Just like blew me away. I also have tinnitus, so I was like, a little part of me was just like, I get it. But,
you felt seen. Okay, and can you give us the synopsis in 60 seconds or less? Countdown's timer starts now.
So Baby is a driver. He's a getaway driver, and he's trying to do his last job for a gang leader. And it all goes a bit haywire because he happens to get into a relationship with a lovely girl called Deborah around about the same time. And he has to make a decision whether he's going to choose a life with Deborah or whether he's going to be trapped into a life of crime.
Lovely. Awesome. Karen, what were your thoughts on Baby Driver? Had you seen it before?
I hadn't seen it before. It's something that I know.
Oh, wow.
I knew that it was high on my list, and I knew that it's something that I should have seen because people had raved about it, and I know that people had gone to see it more than once, and film critics the same. And I love John Hamm, love Jamie Foxx, but I hadn't seen it. But I loved it. It's a Shazam film, shall I say that? It's one of those, as soon as it starts, you've got your phone at the ready, because even if you know the tunes, because the way that it comes at you, you're like, let me just check who that is. So from the outset, I love a great soundtrack, and I love a soundtrack where it feels like that is how you are in your life. I'm a music lover, so to me that feels like, you go through your life with music in the background, or music to get you through whatever it is you do in the trials and tribulations. And I love that, and I love the aesthetic of the film. I love the balance of the darkness. Because there's a dark side to it. As well as the way the humour's delivered. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved it.
I mean, I get that kind of on this rewatch. I remember having that thing where sometimes I can't leave the house until I find the right tune for me before I feel happy. So I get that. I'm nowhere near as bad as Baby. Restarting the heist, waiting for the beat to come in. But I definitely have that thing where I'm like, not this song.
I'm one of these people that I have done it. I've even done it on holiday, getting in the taxi and the music ain't right, get out. Done it, did it in Cuba with friends, like this is not happening. I'm not listening to Dexy's Midnight Runners for the net. No. So
where you with Baby Driver, Helen?
So yeah, I saw it at the cinema and had a good time with it. Yeah, loved the soundtrack and had a lot of fun with it. This is the only other time that I've seen it, and I think as we'll probably discuss, a couple of names come up with the credits at the start, and you're like, oh, yeah. So it was a different experience watching it this time round. But yeah, we've already talked about the soundtrack, and the Jamie Foxx is in it for kind of a small role, but I think he's kind of great as a really kind of mad, crazy person. And the one joke, which I still think is really, really funny, is the Mike Myers mask joke, where they all turn up with Austin Powers masks, not the Halloween ones, which I still think is very, very, very funny. But yeah, it's Edgar Wright. He kind of makes films that look great, sound great, full of pop culture references, very loud, very bright, very shiny.
Yeah, I think after Tarantino on this podcast, Edgar Wright is our most frequented director. We've had Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim versus the World on here as well.
I did almost choose that one.
Well, you can
already been picked.
It's already been picked. You can listen to the episode. It was recorded just before lockdown started. So, wow, 2 years ago we recorded that. Insane. But yeah, I think if you didn't have any music on or audio, you can probably tell. You could probably have a guess of what film would be Edgar Wright. In the same way you could probably do with Wes Anderson as well. There's definitely an aesthetic, and in terms of editing, it'd be very difficult actually with Edgar Wright, because he times transitions a lot with a beat or a sound impact.
When he did the first scene, which was a scene that he kept going back to as he was shooting it. So
do you mean the car scene or the coffee?
Yes, the opening scene with the car and the getaway. He went in and he had animatics and he had the script, and if you look at the script, he wrote the script exactly to match the song. So he put like the lyrics in. It's like, it's a 5-minute song. He's got 5 pages. It's like he's very meticulous man. I'm such a fangirl of his, because incredible mind. And he was working on the idea for like 20 years. I think he started it in the 90s, and he just had the John Spencer like album, like just going round and round and round and round as he was thinking about it. And then he suddenly started thinking about cars and a car chase, and this idea of just like matching bell bottoms to a pursuit. Like, I read something where other people that were crew members were talking about how like they'd never been around someone who had been that prepared for shooting before. But then I read something that he wrote where he basically said that he just wanted it to be like car chase worthy. And because he just wanted it to always be that little bit better, he actually kept going back to it again and again and again. And he had an actor called John Bernthal, who is only, I think, in that one scene, but he ended up being there for the entire shoot just because like Edgar wouldn't release him. Like it was always like that next little scene that they needed to add in, just that bit more, just that bit more, just that bit more. And I feel like you get that with his films, like every time.
I was interested when, I mean, you guys are directors, when directors start off with something small. In fact, I mean, Shaun of the Dead was quite a technical film, and Space was quite technical. But then to step up to do car chases, especially in the way that he did it, he didn't just like follow a car going round some corners quickly. He had the cars interweaving between lorries that were passing each other in reverse, and that's.
It was quite a glow up, wasn't it? From like the Simon Pegg films like this, you were like, oh.
So, Helen, you talked about the elephant in the room. Should we talk about him for a minute?
Yeah, so, Kevin Spacey's in it, and Ansel Elgort's in it as well. They're both rotters, and I mean, Ansel Elgort's like by far the weakest actor in this by miles. Like, he's awful in West Side Story, and he's awful in this, but because of his character, he sort of gets away with not being very good. Yeah, I mean, spoilers, like kind of cheered when Kevin Spacey got hit by a car. I mean, you're kind of like, yeah. So yeah, it's difficult, I think, to at this point now for me to kind of separate the art from the reality. So
it really hurt me when I read. Well, I mean, so first was Kevin Spacey, and that one just blew me away, and I didn't even think of like Baby Driver. But when an allegation came out about Ansel, I always get his name wrong.
Ansel Elgort.
That one hurt me a lot because I was like, that's my favorite film, and that's like coming up to like a quarter of the main cast that have got allegations against them, and I'm never going to stand by the side of the person who's been accused, because especially as a woman, no way. It was just really sad that I mean, the reason why I love the film is just because it's of the technical side of it, and it's not really about their performances for me. It's more just about like how the film makes you feel, particularly with the music. So
and I think sometimes, when it is an actor involved in a film and they're not the main the main player. Obviously, Ansel Elgort's is a thing here. I think it becomes a lot more difficult if it's the creator that's involved in the film and everything. Sometimes I find it easy to separate the fact that it's Kevin Spacey. It's not Kevin Spacey's film. He didn't create this. He didn't put this all together. And I'm well aware that the amount of people involved in this film during the shooting, during the preparation and the post editing, and thinking you don't want their time and their effort and the result to be washed away. But it is hard to then think. One of my favorite scenes when I saw it in the cinema was when there's a song when Kevin Spacey's character is talking about the heist, and Jamie Foxx is looking at Baby and thinks Baby's not paying attention.
Yeah,
and Kevin Spacey's kind of doing this dance in time with the music, which Edgar Wright has set up. And then it plays out. Jamie Foxx is like, he's not been paying attention. He repeats verbatim the heist. And then when I watched it this time, I was like, for fuck's sake. I was looking forward to that bit again. But because it's all focused on Kevin Spacey and how he moved, it does kind of take you out of it. It
does, I think. Yeah, I think it takes away from it because I think, as Lissi says, it's about the technicalities. But for me, it's about, it's a wonderfully cast film, isn't it? That's also the strength of it. And aside from Kevin Spacey's, he's not surprised in the way he's cast in respect to the others. But it is just the fact that because of the way those characters interplay, now when you see him come on, you're a bit like, and that's the difficulty of it, because it's not just kind of like one thing against him. It's also the way that he's handled everything as well publicly. That kind of just makes you go, oh. But as you say, he's not the central character. And it's not all kind of like, it's all based on him and his input into the role. But it just makes you look at him in slightly a different way. You judge his performance slightly differently. I know I do. And that's it. And that's the difference with it. You don't view it in the same light at all.
So, moving away from Kevin Spacey, let's look at the other players on the bench. Lissi said an actor called John Bernthal. For me, it's just that's John Bernthal.
The famous actor. Well, I mean, I guess I first saw him in The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
probably the first time. But he's been in tons of stuff. Like he's a face that you're like, oh, it's him, and like he always gives it 100% as well. So it's always fun. I kind of would have liked him a little bit longer in the film, I think.
Well, he was there the whole time because just plugged him in.
Yeah, there's a quote of him that Edgar Wright said where when Edgar Wright apologized to him, he said, "Look, if this acting shit was easy, anybody would do it." So he is a hard worker, and also I think sort of going back to what we were just saying, but sort of moving forward at the same time. If you look at there's two things that I think of. So one of the things is it's similar to the Noel Clarke situation recently, and a lot of people put a lot of work into the TV show that he was in, and then suddenly it was dropped off of TV and you could still watch it online, and that's kind of sad for everyone else that worked on it, and it's a very complicated thing to work out. And then I think another thing that you can think of is that Edgar Wright at least from what I've seen, anytime that he's brought up Baby Driver, he specifically uses John Hamm, who is just like, if anything comes out about him ever, I'm going to cry, because I do love him, and I'm obsessed with Mad Men. That's like another show that I just like devoured in like one summer.
The same. It's same for me as well. And I wonder, watching this, it's like, why did it take so long for John Hamm to get a break? That's what it makes me think. You know, he is just. It just lights up the screen, doesn't he? And you know, and it's a world away from what you've seen him before. And I just think, you know, it took him so long to get the recognition. And that's the other thing about watching this. You think you don't want that to take away from the versatility of him as an actor.
He's a really good comedic actor as well, isn't he? And he's in 30 Rock, he plays an amazing guy. In Mad Men, he plays this really kind of stoic, like alpha male kind of character. In this, he plays a character I've not recognised him from at all beforehand, and so, you know, he's a good actor. I don't know why I'm surprised at that.
He's got a great face as well, very classic, like handsome face.
I think didn't George Clooney take a while to pop as well?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. He did. It took him, you know, as in, you know, in later life, over 30. It was before he made it. Again, it's the same type of thing, and Clooney had the classic look, but John Hamm does have that classic face that you feel is very Hollywood, but old Hollywood, and that's also what makes it attractive when you watch him, because you feel like, getting something super special in terms of what he brings to the screen. I feel that with him.
Other guys on the bench, we've got John Bernthal. Two people that cropped up briefly. Flea.
I know. Yeah, it's a nice nod towards the musical side as well, that they had an actual musician in it. Does he do much acting?
He's been in a few films, yeah.
It does. Okay. It does more than you think. He crops up in things for like 10 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen him more than 10 minutes.
He is in like 10 minutes of the film, after all.
Yeah, he's in Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
I can't remember. There's a few things he's been up to, like, just a bit.
He also did the film with the music for Edward Norton's last director film with Tom York. So he's kind of got like these. Yeah, they kind of got these like Flea film connections here and there.
I do like it when people are talented in multiple ways and unexpectedly so, and can mix around. Oh, was he in Point Break? That was Anthony Kiedis, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kiedis is definitely in it. I can't remember if Flea is in it as well. He might be. I can't remember, but he's definitely been in other films. And
we haven't talked about Lily James.
Yeah, Lily James. Kind of before she was the Lily James-ish. In my mind, I hadn't really seen her in anything.
Well, she played Cinderella in Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella, and that's where I saw her before this. But yeah, I'm not sure there's a fully thankful role that she played here. It's one of those romances where I don't quite believe it.
Yeah, so this is my biggest issue with the film is the actual like story. So the moment of change in Baby is the moment when he meets Debbie, and the romance between him and Debbie really makes me cringe a bit, like when it cuts to like black and white and he's like imagining like them driving off together, and I'm just a bit like, oh, this is a bit too cheesy now. And like the bits where, and it's really hard because it's so nice to look at them in a laundrette where there's like red, yellow, blue, all just like in perfect unison in these like washing machines behind them. But like, yeah, in actual, there's something about when you see two characters just acting that gooey together, and a scene that's just that perfectly set up for acting gooeyly together, that just forces me out a bit more and makes me go, this doesn't feel real at all. It's my biggest issue with Baby Driver, is the romance.
Did you not feel that it was, so I know it's had criticism for that, but I felt it was done with a 1950s TV kind of romance hat on, in the fact of that, you know, when you're very idealistic about something. There was a team, you're very idealistic. I felt that's what they were. It was trying to drop in.
Yeah, I suppose you're right that you get the experience of Baby on lots of different levels. You get the driver, the romantic, the sad story of his like mother dying in the car crash, and like how that has brought on the tinnitus, which is like the like health things that he's got going on, the relationship with his adopted dad. Like, yeah, there's a lot of different layers to the character. I hadn't really considered the romantic bit.
I loved that side of things with Joe.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the loveliest things about the film. I forget it each time. When you think about Baby Driver, I don't remember that as a feature. And then when you see Joe again, he's like, yeah, make sure you spread it to the edges. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What kind of a spreader was Baby? Why does he need to remind Baby each time how to spread bread?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. And that doesn't get enough credit. Every time we hear about another film that uses sign language or whatever, they skip over that. That's done in a very touchy way, in a real life way, as if you're a carer, and also a young carer, about how that plays out in life. And I feel that's done in a very natural and beautiful way. And I think not enough kind of credit was given to that introduction into a big A-lister movie.
Because sometimes it would be the whole film, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I would make a big thing out of it and really like hone in on, he's deaf. Like, there are deaf people about. Like, they can be in films.
It's so sad when he's left outside of that care home, though. And I also was watching it, like, he doesn't seem old enough to just be put away. But yeah, I wish there were more scenes with him in.
Yeah.
So they're like the genuine relationship in there. I think generally women are not that well written in this film. They're kind of there as personal trauma, love interest, or the sexy love interest. So you've kind of got demure singing love interest or like hot sexy love interest, and I'd kind of like to see a bit more sort of depth to female characters in this, I think. But
I'll say that's kind of something that Edgar Wright has across the board a little bit. I mean, I'm saying that, and he's my favorite director, and I'm a woman, and I'm very big on like women's rights and like telling things from a female point of view, but he still generally has to do a bit of work, I think, in terms of creating a female character that feels like they're there for more than just to be a support bag or just someone to make the male character feel desired. Yeah.
Well, didn't we have that bit in Last Night in Soho?
I thought we weren't allowed to talk about it.
I've not seen it.
We could talk about there being two female leads in that. I guess that's a change up from.
But I'd still.
I'm not asking for spoilers here.
Yeah, but I've still got some arguments to say
what their agency is in that. Even you can make someone the lead, but what their purpose still in that is a bit murky, I think.
I think the lead in Last Night in Soho is better than his other female characters. I'm trying to remember the name of the character of the other female character isn't as strong. I'll say that.
Okay, so last two guys. Well, Jamie Foxx, you touched upon, Karen, who has a great malevolent streak for maybe 20-30 minutes of screen time. It's one of I think as an actor, you must have that. You must enjoy just turning up in a film for a short period of time and overruling it and then skipping off into the distance and having a great death as well.
He's so good in this.
It does look like he enjoys himself, like in all his scenes as well. Like he's actually getting something out of it.
And it's generally fearsome as well.
Yeah, it's good to see that side of him, isn't it? You really kind of believe he's taking issues with the iPod. And he really comes at you through the screen. Jamie in it makes me wish that I had seen it at the cinema, because I feel that you feel that he commands that. I mean, you even get that watching it on the small screen, but I really would love to have seen it, to see him on the big screen, because you really feel he's coming at you for whatever's upset him in that moment. He's brilliant in this.
Well, as we're talking about seeing this on the big screen, should we head to the scores and we can carry on talking about Baby Driver whilst we're ranking it?
Hello, I'm Sam Pay.
And I'm Martin Zoltz-Orstwick.
And we are the two hosts of a podcast called Song by Song, where we listen every week to a track by the musical artist Tom Waits. You might know him for his gravelly voice. Very nice. His appearance in films, but also his multi-decade spanning career involving blues, jazz, and all sorts of other kinds of experimental music.
So we're basically like a book club for Tom Waits. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, you can find us at songbysongpodcast.com or wherever you get podcasts.
So welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. All of the scores are out of 5. You can have decimal places, and we'll start with you, please, Lizzie, with your recommendability.
4.6.
4.6.
Very precise, Lizzie.
We'll have more potentially in this recording. 4.6. And why 4.6? Where did it lose the 0.4 for you?
I think it loses it in when you watch it back. I don't think it's a fault of the film. I think it's just the sad element to its casting. That, you know, you're never going to have a 5-star film with Kevin Spacey. I'm really sorry.
Karen?
I'm giving it a 4.
First time watch in there with a 4.
Yes, in there with a 4. Yeah, because I think it from the moment it starts, it kind of carries you through, and it starts the real joy, and so 4. And I think it loses it for the 2 dodgy males in there. But I think it is a film that you would, even though it's got its dark side to it, it's got it really kind of uplifts you. There's nothing like a great soundtrack, an unpredictable soundtrack. And I love music that actually matches the script and matches that kind of mood. And it's not done in an obvious way. It's always done in a surprising way. And I love the casting of it, apart from, you know, the 2 that we talk about. But I do love the casting of it. I don't think you would. They're like a dream cast in a way, but you would never. If someone's had to say to you, who would you put in this film? You wouldn't put Jamie Foxx next to John Hamm, I don't think.
Helen?
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 4 as well. I mean, you've talked about it briefly, but it is like, technically it's insane. Like the look and feel of it, and just kind of like the jump that he made from kind of like the Simon Pegg films to this. Like, watching it again, we've talked about it very briefly, but the car chases are kind of insane. Like, I don't know where you'd begin to start with kind of like all the camera work and everything like that. So on that point, I'd recommend it. But for anyone who hasn't seen it, it would be like, it's got Kevin Spacey and Ansel Elgort in it. So like, I don't know how you feel about it. So a good solid 4, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I'd give the warning that Kevin Spacey's in it. But apart from that, yeah, recommend it to a lot of people. And I'd also just say, look, pay attention. Because one thing I did was, this is the 3rd time watching it, and this kind of leads into my repeat viewing score. The first time watching it, I was just watching it watching the cinema. I was like, this is really cool. I like the effects and the whiz-bangery of it. And then I read some reviews about how lots of scenes were timed to the beat, which some of them are caught and some of them didn't. And like when he's going to make the coffee, how all the graffiti was revealing the lyrics, and which I didn't notice in the cinema. And I had to go back like literally a couple of days later after reading an article to watch in the cinema. And I was like, you fucking idiot. You missed all of this beautiful stuff. So yeah, I recommend it to people highly, but also recommend that they pay attention. And there's that scene with the tequila when they're shooting, all the shots are on time with the beats for tequila.
Yeah,
I didn't get that in the cinema.
To rewind that. That was the thing about it. You're saying you miss things. You kind of blink and you think, did I miss something there? I had to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, there's always little things, like in the opening scene, all the other cars are muted apart from like the red cars. And then I'm pretty sure when they leave the red car, they go into a green car. So it's kind of like the shift in like urgency. And like Hocus Pocus, like that, like, yeah. And matching like when he hits like a table with his feet when he's running along, or like the gunshots matching, just everything. Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 4.4. Repeat viewing score, Lissi.
Yeah, really want to say 5, so I'm going to say 5 because I have watched it about 10 times, and like we were just saying, it's just the fact that you can always watch it and like find something else to really enjoy about it. And I think it's not really, I mean, it's not for me to say, because I'm not someone who would be triggered by the accusations that were against Ansel and Kevin Spacey, but I think that at least I can shift myself from a position of watching it and thinking about those two characters to watching it and thinking about lots of different things because of all the different little details that were put into the film as it was being made. That I can kind of push them to one side and go, look at all this other really amazing stuff that's also going on, that I can get a level of enjoyment each time I watch it.
Karen?
I'll say 4.7. I say it's, even for the first 5 minutes, you have to watch that on repeat, because I love as he's walking against the graffiti and I don't know, Harlem Shuffle's just such a great song to open the film with. But it's
the second song, isn't it?
Second song, yeah.
John Spencer Blues Explosion, Bell Bottoms.
Yeah.
And then into that.
And then it goes into that. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Then it goes
it's one
into
of my favourite intros to any film ever, I think.
Yeah, it's just, just even for that, it's one of those that I know some people would just literally have on repeat before you'd even get to a quarter of the way into the film. So it's definitely got a high repeat factor for me.
Helen?
So this is the second time watching it, and despite the illness, I really enjoyed revisiting it for this episode, but I think I'm probably done for watching it, so I'm going to give it a 3.
No worries. I think I really enjoyed it. I think this is the third time. Like I said, the second time I watched it was a couple of days after watching the first time, and I don't think I'll watch it frequently, but one I'll always look forward to that time and think, oh yeah, Baby Driver. Yeah, let's pop that on. So this 4.1 small screen score, Lissi.
So I think that, I first saw it in cinema, and every time since I've watched it either on my laptop or my TV. One time I watched it on my iPhone. Doesn't hold up the same. I'm a strong believer in, like, if you have something that is really incredible, you can watch it on any different size viewing device that you have. I'm not one of those people that says that you have to watch it in the cinema and it has to be the exact way that filmmakers intend it to be. But yeah, it does. It is something that is a lot better when you see it in the cinema.
So what score does that give you?
Can you put that into a number for us?
Yes, I can. Sorry. 3.8.
Sure.
Comes
questioning yourself.
It comes close to
3.8. Karen?
I would give it a 3.5 for watching it on the small screen. I think that it works when you watch it on the small screen, but you can just sense that you would get everything, including the sound, because if you're watching something with an incredible soundtrack and also a heist film with incredible car chases and and all the shooting scenes that are going off, that you definitely want to hear that in a Dolby surround sound cinema. But I'm not one of these people that that have got a sound bar at home or anything like that. So imagine if you've got a sound bar, that might help. Have any of you got one?
No.
You know what I mean? I wonder, does that make a difference?
I mean, it makes a difference, but I think that this is definitely one you... Anyway, so what was it, 3.5 to score?
3.5, yes.
Helen?
I'll go 3.5 as well. I think if it's on at like the Prince Charles and you live in London, then you should go and watch it at the cinema. It's much better on a big screen. It's the combo of the sound and the music. It just really works well if you've got that great sound and really big, really loud.
Yeah, big sound. You do well out of it. It's not super flash bang whizzery like a Marvel or a Star Wars kind of film, but the aesthetics of it and how it time and the editing of it really does lean into the cinema experience. So yeah, 3.5 for this engagement score. Lissi?
5.
5.
No more. For me, it's just it's the way that the iPod is so much more than just something in his hand. It's something where we are there with him and we're listening to the music with him and we're getting to experience that in a sense with him, the character baby, that just like elevates it for me and just creates this feeling where I feel like I am a lot more locked into the story because I am following beat by beat the tune to the pacing of the shots and the just what's going on in that world. The music and the way and just how well each song is just dropped in. It does feel like just someone's really meticulous playlist that they've spent a really long time putting together. And just that feeling of when you go out on the street and you've got your iPod playing, or it's not really iPods anymore, you've got Spotify playing, you've got your headphones in, you're walking down the street and you feel like you're in a music video, and you start thinking, if this was a music video, this would be like the wide shot, this would be like the close-up, this would be the moment when I look knowingly at the camera, like those kind of like moments that you start to have in your head where you start to feel like you are a main character. Just like, it's so satisfying to see it in a film. I can't describe that feeling that I get.
Karen, engagement score?
I would say 4.8. I think it's one of those films that if you aren't giving it your full attention, you're conscious of it because you know that you've looked away or you've been distracted and you've missed something. And so I think you've got to be fully immersed in this film when you watch it.
Helen?
I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's one of those films that's got a few kind of like fake endings where you're like, it's ended? Well, it's not ended. They're doing a bit more. It kind of stretches out a little bit. And this time around, kind of the romance was a little bit of a drag. I think I definitely enjoyed the more kind of like heisty bits and when the energy is really going than when it's, with the romance bits.
Yeah, let's go for 4.5. Why not? 4.52. I think that the romance does take away from the speed and the pace of the film. I'd forgotten about the bit at the end where he goes to court, and then all the people who he'd kind of helped along the way come in and vouch for his good character, and that takes a bit more time, and then it gets out with good service, and that kind of drags a bit at the end. But still, yeah, I mean, I've watched it 3 times, but I think I've seen the first 10 minutes, so many times on YouTube and stuff. So it's the engagement score is high, and that gives us an overall score of 4.1250. Decent, very decent. Lissi and Karen, can you sign off by telling listeners where they can find you online, where they can find the works you do, your website, books, anything? Plug away.
You can find me online at karengabay.co.uk. Soul of Manchester.
That's Gabay.
It is Gabay, yes. Soul of Manchester.
Gabay, babe. Sorry. Carry on.
And you can find me on BBC Sounds. My radio show is called The People, so you can look there, find me there.
Oh, wow.
It's on Sunday nights from 8 o'clock every Sunday, but you can always listen back on BBC Sounds. And where else can you find me? Yeah, just look for my name on the end of the credits. When they try and squeeze them in the last 40 seconds. Hate that. But yeah, I'm there as well. Kaz Gabay, if you want to find me on Insta or Twitter, for however long I stay on Twitter.
We'll see.
Well, now that Elon's taken it.
Yeah.
And Lissi?
You can find me lissisimpson.co.uk. I wish that mine rang as well as karengabay.co.uk. That's like a little bit of a tongue twister. lissisimpson.co.uk and Instagram, Lissi Shoots. And I have a Twitter, but I don't use it that much, so I won't.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to rewatch Baby Driver.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo!
Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes, and Ben from Rockwood Audio for his awesome editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Ben, and that's Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.